Okay, I'm still working in this garage attic space. There's the space right there that goes between the two floors, open to the garage. This was one of the most critical areas flagged to us by Tex Energy Solutions, saying that this was a big draw of air coming into our house from the attic. I'm filling this area with insulation to help seal some of the ducts and add some extra insulation. And then I'll go back with some foam board and I'll show that when it's finished. But I just wanted to show you first off what's going to be behind the foam board. So you can see some of the ducts. That's a better view of the duct right there. I'll go ahead and put some insulation in there. Here I'm just trying to block some of the leakage. And I can actually, the AC is running, so I could actually feel some leakage. And what I've done is taped areas with the foil tape where I feel the leakage, and that's been helpful. Now, of course, I'm not getting to every bit of the duct. Obviously, there's going to be sections in the middle that I can't get to, but hopefully a lot of the leakage is here and I take care of it here. Okay, so I use these little discs here. You can see how I nail those in. The reason why I use the discs is because if I use the nail by itself, it'll go right through the foam board. It won't grab. But one tip I want to give you, don't try to hammer them. These don't have a hole in them. And don't try to hammer them. Drop my nail. Don't try to hammer them while you're trying to put it in there, because it'll just damage the whole thing. You need to make the hole first. So what you do is you take a piece of hardboard, wood, take a little piece of wood, or if you have wood in the attic, just use that. Make the hole there, and then put the nail up, and then hammer it in. And that's how you do it. That's a little tip on how to use these little tin caps. And those are necessary when you're using the foam board, because they're going to give you a nice seal. They're going to hold the board in place. And you of course use foam board sealant underneath, the blue sealant that you see here. And you also might want to use caulk or foam, spray foam insulation to seal the joints. So now this is done. Look, airtight. It's like a drum. Okay, I'm continuing on placing the board backing on top of the areas that I have insulated. There's insulation behind here, R19 formaldehyde-free batting. It's like this piece right here where I'm pointing, similar to that, brand new stuff. I've ripped out all the old stuff, put new insulation back here, and I put this radiant backing also, just to give it a hard backing so it doesn't suck dust through there. And that backing is going to do a good deal of help to maintain that insulation in place and maintain it healthy. Now what I'm doing is I'm nailing in pieces. You can see here I've prepared all my nails. Remember I talked before about driving them through before you put them through the board so that they don't damage the board. So I've got a bunch prepared here. The trickiest part of working in the attic is finding a good comfortable spot. Good, comfortable, and secure spot. And I've got myself a nice little perch right here. Very comfortable. One of the most comfortable spots I have had in my whole dealings here. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to put a few nails in. Continue to put my board in. And there, I marked the stud ahead of time. You can see the black marks there. So I know where the stud is behind this board. Always be careful hammering in tight spots. If you go too far back, you can nail yourself. So short little strokes. That one's good. Okay. A couple more. Down the line here. Just make that board. I'd probably overkill this, but you know what? It isn't coming off. Okay. I'll put a couple more along the bottom. And then what I'm going to do is caulk the seam and tape it. The seam between the two boards. It's nice to try to get big pieces, but sometimes you got to do smaller pieces and piece them together to make it easier. There was a pipe here. I couldn't fit the whole piece through, so I cut it in two sections and did it that way. I'm continuing to hammer down here, make this nice and secure. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. And we're just about done with this piece here. Okay, still working on the garage attic today, and I'm doing this wall of insulation here. I've already put some board there, and all this area down that way is done. But just want to give you a little tip. You can see here, this one's been a little bit trickier because a lot of pipes and things running through this wall. So you can see one there I've started. What you do in this case is cut smaller pieces, try to put them in where they can fit. You don't want to overstuff the insulation because then it loses its R factor. But you do want to try to put it in every spot. So compressing it a little bit is okay. Don't over compress it. Cut into smaller pieces like I have here. I've cut some squares that I'll now fit in to the area that you see right there with all the wires. And always be careful with the wires. Try not to dislodge anything. And now when I nail these boards on top of it, I got to be very careful where the wires cross to make sure I don't hit a wire as I am hammering down my board. Okay, so you can see here now I've used the approach of just breaking up into little pieces, and I filled that area out. Here's about the size of piece I used on some of the sections. Anyhow, if you're ever encountering an issue with trying to get around wires and pipes and stuff, divide and conquer. Rule of thumb, divide and conquer. Remember, very important, as you're putting that board on, be careful where the wires cross the board. Do not put a nail there. But early on in this garage project, I told you, while you're up here, go ahead and fix other things that you see have problems. Well, my condensate line had some chewed up flex wrap on it. I ripped off the old chewed up insulation flex, armor flex I think they call it sometimes. I've taken that piece off and I'm going to put a new piece on. If I leave it like this, what will happen, it'll keep dripping onto my ceiling and it'll cause some damage to the drywall. But also I believe it will lose some cooling through there also. So this wrapping helps insulate the condensate line, and I'll do that now while I'm up here. We'll pull the adhesive off. We press it together, nice and firm, and then I go back and wrap it. Okay, there is my finished wrapped condensate line, and probably overdone on the duct tape. I mean, this thing seals by itself. It's got that self-adhesive that seals itself. But by now, in this project, you know me, Mr. Overkill. Went ahead and wrapped it a couple times just to be safe. Probably not necessary, though. Anyway, that's done. I've got one more little one to do, a little piece, and I'll get that, and I'll get back to my insulation work. Okay, just want to show you the completed job here, all the way from that corner. The gable completed. You can see the gable, all the pipes, everything is fitted around. Remember the divide and conquer. We went around all the pipes. We used foam sealant to seal off. Very good. We also used tape and caulk, and foam sealant caulk to seal it off. Here's the space between the floors. We got that sealed off. And then this goes all the way to that side of the gable. That gable is all boarded up. R19 batting behind that, R19 batting underneath the in-between floor space. It's completely sealed to the house. There's no opening to the house. The only opening left is right here, and this is key to note. This is the furnace, and you got to leave a little open space for that to get what they call makeup air. That's just so that you don't get the carbon monoxide built up in that equipment closet and it feeds back into your house through your equipment. But a couple other things that we did while we were up here. We fixed this dryer vent, which had come loose, and it was venting into that closet, so it was getting a lot of hot air into the equipment closet and probably sucking that back into the system. Also, we fixed the condensate line that we showed before. We fixed a couple condensate lines. There's another one back there. And we also fixed this pipe, this vent pipe, which is from the stovetop. It's a downdraft, and it was open as well, just leaking into the attic here, so just causing more heat and humidity up in this area. So that's our completed job. So if you've got an opening like this in between the floors, it's pretty key to get this done. We were able to cut our air infiltration by 50%, a little bit over 50%, And this was instrumental in getting that number down.